Are you an immigrant looking for a better recipe for living your ultimate American dream journey? Did you come to America to escape persecution? Or as a tourist, a student, for employment, and found America a welcoming place? Or did you make a conscious decision to relocate for a new experience and opportunities? Whatever the case, you have a story. Are you ready to tell yours and have it recorded in the pages of history for your posterity and the world? Was your decision to live in America the best decision you've ever made? These stories and more on this podcast dedicated to you, the modern explorers to America. We feature amazing navigators weekly to share their story, their journey, their challenges and successes, with one goal of helping you to fast track and live your best American dream journey. So what's your navigating story? And now, here is your host, Bassey Simon, with this episode's featured guest, ready to tell their navigating story.
Hello, Nadvigators. Bassey Simon here with the concluding story of our special guest this week, Liliana Rogers, who, even after 25 years in the United States, still gets the butterfly watching how Americans respect emergency vehicles and wish she can take that culture back to Colombia. Hey, Navigators, if you did not listen to Liliana's story in episode 13, go there now. She dropped a lot of value bombs. Because we are very considerate of your time around here on the Nadvigators Podcast, let me give you a quick recap about our guest. Liliana Rogers jumped from an airplane in June 2017 to conquer a fear of heights that paralyzed her for over 25 years. Liliana Rogers was born in Colombia to a middle-class family. She was always eager to travel the world since she was a little girl. And that opportunity came when she was offered an HB1 visa to work as a software engineer with a Texas company. Although that line of work was great, she always knew she could be more. Today, Liliana is living her American dream as a transformational life consultant with a fun, spiritual Latin twist. She's well known for having a big zest for life. She wants to help those who have lost passion for life to love themselves again. We are lucky to have her to share some of our American experience with us. Now let's get on to the rest of her story. So you have experienced both places. What are some of the culture here that you would really like? Well, I want to take this culture back to Colombia. And what are some other cultures that you would say, I don't want anybody to take this culture to anywhere? So are there things like that?
Yeah, actually, I was talking to a friend. He's a police officer, and I was talking with him a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was telling him that, to me, I mean, I've been here in this country for 22 years, and it still amazes me and give me the butterflies to watch how people respect ambulances. There's an ambulance coming, and everybody stops and moves to the sides. And after 22 years, I see that, and I still feel the pride, how people respect that kind of things, and that's something that I would like to take back to my culture in Colombia, because people in Colombia, they will follow the ambulance, everybody will follow, nobody will stop, they will just go behind the ambulance, because there's no respect, there's no respect for the public, stuff like that, or the law enforcement, there's respect to the police. And even though it has, unfortunately, it has changed here the last couple of years with all the problems going on,
Right.
there's still a lot of respect to the law enforcement people, the way it should be. So that's one thing that I will take, to my country. And one thing that I won't take, I think that this society, and I don't know if it's worldwide, but at least here, is, in my opinion, too much of a soft society. You can't say anything because people get offended, like little kids, everybody gets a medal if they participate. There's no, because they're going to get traumatized, that's how life is. You don't win, and we have to learn to deal with that. So that's something that, and there's a lack of respect to older people, I think, in general. I mean, I see it here, even with my kids, sadly enough, it's a completely different, I don't know how it is in Colombia now. I think it's also different than when I was there, but I don't think it's as bad as it is here now. There's no respect to older people. There's no respect to the community. There's no respect to, like, for example, just want to make this comment. I just read that with the shutdown, the government shutdown, I'm near Joshua Trees. Have you heard of it's a national park, Joshua Trees? Mm-hmm. A beautiful, amazing place. And because there was no employees working there, the place was completely trashed, and people were cutting the trees, and they were just littering and destroying. That's so painful, that people, because there's not somebody there controlling them, people would just go and destroy these trees that are like, years old, they're like, they're unique in the world, and and people just will go and cut them and burn them. And that's the kind of culture that is not good, that culture that, because I can get away with it, I'm going to go and do it.
Right.
And that's very sad right now, within that place, culture-wise, that is like that.
Right. Wow. Well, we're getting close to the end of this discussion, but there are two important sections here that I would like you to respond. So, so imagine you are standing in front of a room full of new immigrants, okay, and they're all coming from Colombia.
Okay.
And they didn't come like you did. And so when they arrive here, they have a lot of fears, anxiety, and struggles, and they don't know exactly what is going to happen. So they are just worried. But they are here. So what are the three things that you will recommend that they would do? You've shared some of the things you did, even though you came with a different status, you didn't have any problem, but you did some things to help you propel. I mean, like immersing yourself in the language, immersing yourself in the culture and all of that. So what are three things that you could recommend for people who are just arrived from your country and you are standing in front of them to advise them how to take advantage of the fact that they are here?
Okay, so I would say one thing is to be proud of what we have accomplished as immigrants, because it takes a lot of courage to leave what you know behind and come to a different country, new culture, new language or whatever, and it takes. Not everybody can do it, and regardless of what other people want to say, we are amazing because we have the courage to do something like that. And we should be proud of that.
That's so true.
We are. I mean, when people say, when ignorant people say, oh, you have to speak, here English because we're speaking a different language. We are more prepared. We are smarter people because we know two languages instead of one, right? So we are, in a way, more educated when you have two languages in your, that you know. So that's something that we should always be very proud. We are ambitious, we have gone through a lot of hassle, a lot of problems, because we want a better future for us and for our kids. That's being ambitious.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that never do that. They just stay there and, oh, well, that's how it is. No, there's a lot of people that are seeking a better future for their families.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. It's hard.
No.
So I say just always remember that, it's not easy, but we are awesome people. We're doing this that is not easy. I know I had it easier than a lot of people, but it still wasn't easy. I was here by myself. It was hard in a different way.
Right.
We have it. I will say also to them that what we think about, what we think we attract in our lives. So I will say there's a lot of people. Somebody asked me this recently. I have never felt discriminated in my 20 years here.
Right.
And maybe I think because I'm not looking for it. Again, I'm proud of who I am. So I'm not looking for that discrimination. It could have happened to me. It just probably, I didn't even notice it because I'm not looking for it.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
It's stop the, I'm not going to say everybody, but let's not play the victim role, because when you play the victim role, you're not taking responsibility for your life.
Yeah.
Stop looking for that discrimination maybe, and what you think you attract into your life. So you're not thinking about it. You're not going to attract it into your life.
Yeah.
And how we see ourselves, we project that to other people.
That's true.
So if I'm proud of myself, I'm confident, and I encounter you, for example, energetically, I'm telling you how you should treat me. That's even before we speak.
Right.
Yeah? You see what I'm saying? We tell other people how to treat us energetically in a subconscious level.
Huh.
So
wow. I really like what you said, actually. Those are really great nuggets of knowledge. Is there something, it seems like you want to add something else?
Let's see. Well, yeah, be proud. We are awesome. What we are a small percentage of people willing to take risk,
right?
To be ambitious, and just take responsibility. Be proud. And stop complaining.
Those are great. Those are great pieces of information. Actually, I really like the fact that don't look for negatives everywhere, pretty much, because I like the way you put it, that if you look for these negatives and you're not proud of yourself, it's going to project from you. You're going to take that and project to others, and you will feel like everybody's that way. I like the fact that you're talking about don't look for these negatives about discrimination. Of course, that is not oblivious to the fact that there are people that are, negative in thinking. But if you're not looking for it, you're not going to see it. Maybe you said it right, that maybe I was discriminated against, but I didn't look for it, so I didn't notice it.
Yep.
So that's a very, very, very good advice for people. So, is there something, 2 to 3 things that they can avoid?
Say that again.
Is there something that this same group of people you are talking to, what should they avoid? What kind of things should they avoid so that they don't get into trouble? They can make their life, they can have a good success for why they came. Well, you already said it. Actually, you said some of them, not looking for negativity in everything, and so that's probably very, very important right there.
The other part, and this is just from my life coach, part, we have to be very clear where we want to go, so we know how to get there. So I would recommend everybody to have a clear path, either write it down, because one thing is to get here, and then now what, right?
Exactly.
Regardless of our conditions, we need to know where we want to go. So it will be ideal to write down, a vision or a plan of what do we want to accomplish. So the universe, and we know where are we going. If we don't know where we go, there's no direction, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So move away from that victim mentality and move into, okay, I'm going to start building. This is where I'm going. This is what I want to get. And I'm going to get there. And look for the positive, have a positive mentality.
Yeah. Great. Great. So this is the last set of questions. This is a time for you to share part of your project, some of the things that you're doing that you think might help the community listening to this. But before that time, I have one last question before you share that. So what are some maybe inspirational quotes or books that you can recommend? I love books. I love education because I believe education is the differentiator for things.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So what is one inspirational quote or a resource, a book that you would recommend that people should read?
Well, oh my God, I love reading. I have books all over. This is my office, and I have books. You don't see them, but
Right.
I have 300 books here in this room. I love reading. Books that I like. I will say there's a book called The Power of Now.
The Power of Now.
Yeah, and it's about it's by Eckhart Tolle. And I'm just mentioning it. I mean, I like a lot of books, but maybe I'm mentioning this specifically because it came to my, to my mind right now that a lot of us when we move to a different country, we have a past, right? And what the book pretty much says, I mean, when I summarize the book in one sentence, is that we need to live in the present. When all our negative emotions in life, they come because we're either focusing in the past,
right,
or we're focusing in the future.
Right.
So you're thinking about your past, you're going to be upset, you're going to be embarrassed, you're going to be shamed, whatever. But past is past. Forget about what past happened. Don't think about it. It's
Right.
done, right? And if you think about the future, you're going to be stressed. You're going to have fears.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have all these negatives. So stay in the present. And for us, that people that is coming, stay in the present. Live the moment, and that will avoid a lot of the negative emotions that we have. You're thinking about the future all the time. There's no fear.
Right.
Fear is in our minds.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
No.
You're
And
right.
regret about the past. So forget about the past.
Very good. Well, I have one, maybe two more things that I want to share about in your life that I found out. Then after that, you will have opportunity to tell the audience what your project you're working with. So this might be something you don't have to respond to these questions if you don't want to respond to it. But I found this quote on your website very interesting. And if you would like to shed some light on why this quote is important to you,
Okay.
It would be great. If not, we'll just pass it by.
Okay.
So this quote about you is saying, "I will never feel alone or defeated on a rainy night again because I have the best company in the world." What is that about?
Well, you see, we're talking about that I came by myself. Then I got married. Then I got divorced. And then the first year after my divorce was Christmas. That's almost 10 years ago. And I found myself again alone. And my kids were gone. And I was very depressed. And that day I promised myself that I will never be alone again. When you love yourself, when you love your company, you will never be alone. And now I will add that I've been working also on my spiritual, side. So I found myself that I believe now that I'm not alone just because there's a higher power always with me.
Right.
So I'm never alone because I have a higher power always with me, and I have myself.
Well, thank you for sharing that little fact about yourself. There's one more fact here, which I'd love you to talk about it. And I think this has also helped you to become who you are today. You said that 25 years of letting fear of heights stop you from fulfilling one of your items on your bucket list. From an airplane on June 2017. How did you get to that point?
Well, I always wanted to to do skydiving. It was in my bucket list. And I last 2 years ago, I was 49, and it was kind of like giving up on myself. I said, oh, I'm just getting too old, and I'm just not going to never do it. And then I decided, you know what, I have to do it before I turn 50. So I got a Groupon, and I just, you have to do it, and I did it.
Wow. Well, fear of something is always debilitating. It's always numbing to people. I know that, for example, my wife have really bad fear for heights.
That's what I had, really bad.
So, and I always say the only way to overcome this fear is to confront it. So you did confront your fear and you jumped from an airplane. How did that feel?
Well, actually what I did, I didn't mention it, but I don't know, have you heard of what tapping? You know what tapping is, or EFT?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Have you seen people doing something like this? Have you seen that?
I've seen that.
So tapping, or EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So this is a technique that you can use to eliminate fears, bad memories, bad emotions, and it's actually very effective.
Really?
So the day before I was jumping, because I had a very high fear of heights. That's why I waited 25 years. But I had a friend that she knows how to do tapping, and I asked her to do a session on my fear. And she did a session to eliminate my fear.
Wow.
And my fear went from a 9 to a 2 in one session. So actually I was able to not only jump, but actually enjoy the jump, because I wasn't freaking out. I was actually very comfortable while I was doing it. So that's something that I did. Because it's not only about confronting, you have to be sometimes smart about how you do it. Go and find the help that you need to be able to do what you want to do.
Wow, that is a good resource that we are going to share, because a lot of people have fear of a lot of things. So maybe you're going to have to send me information about that so I can include it in the resources that you shared with us.
I know how to do it now. I know how to do EFT and tapping.
Yeah, so we can share with the navigators here, because a lot of people have fear for several things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know not much about that, but I'm always willing to learn new things. So thank you for sharing that information with us. So the last part of it, which is the last portion of our show now, is to for you to basically tell us about what you're doing right now. Talk about your business. How could people benefit from what you do? How could you help navigators? And are there things that you want to give out and encourage people to try what you do and see what kind of people are you trying to work with? Whatever it is, that tell us about that, and then tell us how to connect with you if anybody who is interested in what you do want to reach out, how they can connect with you.
Okay, so as I said, for the last 4 or 5 years, I felt like there was more in life for me than just being from a computer. So I've been learning and practicing how to be a life coach. So last year, 100%, I started my company. I left my corporate job, and I've been working on starting my own company. So I welcome anybody that wanna work with me. I have the Latin spiritual twist that I was mentioning.
Yeah.
I think that one of the gifts that God gave me is a positive energy and a positive outcome in life. And I want to share that with the world. I want to teach people how to have fun, how to be positive, how to, use these tools that we have accessible, and it can make our lives easier.
Right.
Specifically, I know how to do EFT, and I was thinking, EFT has been very positive. I know it worked for me. I was able to jump from an airplane,
Right.
So I know it works. And I want to mention really quick that last year I learned a technique, because I was reading this article that says that one of the fears that we have of public speaking, which is a very high, fear,
Right.
is there are three reasons for the fear. And one of the reasons which applies for us is that English isn't our first language.
Right.
So we don't feel adequate. We don't feel comfortable because it's not the first language. So I did a process actually to remove that discomfort and to remove that fear to improve my public speaking skills. So I know how to do that technique, and I will be happy to share it with people. So what else can I say? So yeah, anybody wants to contact me, my website is femelocity.com, which is FEMELOC. See right here. Can you see that? Let's see, what is it right there?
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
I guess it's backwards. So, but it's FEMELOCITY. Femelocity. They can follow me on social media. Instagram is also Femelocity, and Facebook it will be Liliana Rogers.
Okay.
That's it.
Wow. Thank you, Liliana Rogers. This has been amazing session here that we've had. I'm very sure I will bring you back on this podcast as an expert because one of the things that we want to do here is, besides just asking people to tell their story, we actually want to provide value to the navigators who are here. So we will try to bring experts in different fields, and you have expertise in helping people overcome fear and helping people to overcome the fear of public speaking. It's a very serious fear. A lot of people will have that fear. Mm-hmm. And especially you mentioned something about most of us immigrants and navigators don't like to do that because of the number one fear of we feel like we're not going to be understood, so we don't even want to try. So I can see that I would definitely bring you back here as an expert to talk about some of these things. The questions at that time will be totally different. To share things with people is going to be a quick few minutes discussion and just share some tips on what people can do. So I can see that happening. And thank you so much for coming on the program and your nuggets of knowledge that you shared. I still cannot get over the three things that you talked about. The advice that you told people to do, which was the navigators should be proud of themselves for taking the opportunity to make a very big decision on relocating here, because it's not easy to make that decision, and we have to see positive things out of people. We don't have to look for negatives, and if we don't do that, then we will be able to succeed. And then the one other last thing is that the power of now, that resource that you shared, I really like it. Sometimes we burden ourselves with thinking too much about the future and the past, and then we cannot live in the present. So this has been a very a good opportunity. Thank you so much. Navigators, we have been listening to the amazing journey of our guest this week, Miss Liliana Rogers. I learned a lot from her experience, and I am convinced that the navigators will feel more confident in their ability to learn and conquer their fears like Liliana did. How about those fears of public speaking? Liliana said, no worries, listen to your local news and watch some movies so you can start immersing yourself in the culture. And before you know it, you'll start speaking clearly. To connect with Liliana and learn how you too can transform your American dream to reality. Or if you have lost a passion for life and want to love yourself again, visit Liliana's website at femelocity.com. That is femelocity.com. femelocity.com. Visit Liliana's website at femelocity.com. Thanks for listening to the Nadvigators Podcast this week. Since you've made it this far, I take that you like what we are doing here. Our goal is to tell everyone's story before it gets lost forever. Who knows? Your posterity will one day look for your story when you are not there to tell it. Luckily, the Nadvigators Podcast will be there for them to listen. Don't delay. Reserve your space to tell your story and have it recorded on the pages of history, because you are the modern American explorer. Send me an email to guest@nadcast.com or go to nadcast.com and click on the microphone icon to get started. For now, go listen to other episodes of the Nadvigators Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to your podcast. I really will appreciate your feedback and support. Please subscribe while you're there, write a review, and while I look forward to catching you on the next episode, remember, none of us is smarter than all of us, and be good to people you meet on your way up.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Nadvigators Podcast, Navigating the American Dream with Bassey Simon. For more information about our stories, our guests, or how to get involved and share your Nadvigating story, head over to our website at nadcast.com. That's NADCAST.com for more information. Continue the conversation on Facebook.com/Nadvigators. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast listening platform so others can find us and enjoy the show too.